Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. Folks, we're going to have a lot of conversations about this particular topic, probably for the next couple of weeks. Because like I've already thought, and I've said before in a previous episode, I do not see this problem getting any better anytime soon. At least not enough to where it's going to, temper or cool the absolutely raging bonfire that is now affecting the entire Detroit Lions fan base when it comes to John Morton and this entire Detroit Lions offense. It's just not going to go anywhere. And the problem is other than the fact that the offense is, absolutely just not doing what we know it should be doing, it's not cutting the mustard, it's not absolutely, wowing, dominating, exploding against opposing defenses, there's another problem on top of that nobody's even thinking about right now. There's another problem on top of that nobody is even considering at the current moment. And when I talk about it right now, I'm absolutely not going to enjoy it. I'm just not going to. Because it means that we're going to have to stare into a mirror and look at where we're at, and then have to look outside that mirror for just a half a second to look on down the road. Everybody knows that in November and December, you need to be playing your best football. It's a given fact in the NFL. November and December, you have to be playing your best football. You have to. And right now, the Lions are, as an offensive unit, far from playing their best offensive football. The defense is way further along in that respect than the offense is. Oh, sure, the defense didn't have the best game yesterday either against the Vikings. Not going to sugarcoat that either. But at least they were able to get stops more completely and more often than the offense of the Lions was able to actually score points and score touchdowns the way they're supposed to. So the defense right now is further along in where it needs to be than the offense is. At least the defense is showing resistance, showing fight, showing the ability to get stops. The offense right now is not able to even do some of those basic things on a consistent basis. And the reason why that is a massive problem, other than just the immediate thought process of, we're just not where we're supposed to be, is where we're trying to get to, and now looking at where this division race is. Let's call it for what it is, folks. The NFC North division right now is probably one of the tightest, if not the tightest division in terms of overall standings. And that is a massive problem. It is a humongous problem. Right now, if we want to be entirely honest with ourselves, the Lions should be in first place of this division race, with the Packers at number 2 and the Bears at number 3 and the Vikings bringing in the cellar. And the records should look completely different. The Lions should be 6-2, the Packers should be, 5-2-1, and the Bears should be 5-3 as they won yesterday. And then the Vikings should be 3-5. That's where it should be. But it's not. And when you think about it, where the Lions offense is right now, and where we're going to have to then go to try and get to where we want to be, that's going to be a humongous problem, a humongous challenge to try and get any sort of, ability to move forward with. Because let's call it for what it is. The Packers right now, they're having a lot of the same problems that the Lions are having. Their offense is not very consistent. Their offense is, some days it looks okay, and some days it looks absolutely like ass. That's exactly what the Lions' offense looks like. It has not been dominant at all except for one game. In the rest of the games, it's been above average to okay to just downright, disgusting to watch. That's kind of where the Packers' offense is right now. And now you've got the Bears, who are 5-3, and they're picking up momentum going into the second half of the season. And now you have, in essence, a three-way race at the top of the division for first place. And here's the worst part about it, is that the Lions are currently 1-2 in the division race. We lost against the Packers, and now we just lost against the Vikings. The only team that we've beaten in the division so far this year is the Bears. Which now means this. Those next 3 division matchups that you have, which, by the way, 2 out of 3 of them are going to be, on the freaking road. Because, that's right, we're going to have to go back to play Chicago in Chicago week 18. We're going to have to go to Minnesota to play the Vikings. The only game that we're going to have at home against our division rivals the rest of the way is going to be against the Packers, which is on Thanksgiving. So now, you're behind in the division race. The division race itself is in essence right now a 3-way tie at the very top of the division standings because all 3 teams have 5 wins. You've now got a very critical moment for the Lions where it's like, okay, here. We have to win all 3 of those remaining division race games or else we're in some deep, deep doo-doo. We're in some deep crap. Because not only do you have those games that you've got to try and win, you've got all these other games that are in conference that you've now also got to win that are not part of the division, but they're going to have a huge impact on the race. You've got to now beat against the Washington Commanders. You've got to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. You've got to beat the Los Angeles Rams. You've got to beat the Dallas Cowboys. You've got to find a way to beat all those teams. And let's think about this here. The Los Angeles Rams have a pretty damn good offense. The Cowboys have a pretty damn good offense. So that means that most likely you're going to have to, in those games, find a way to outscore them. Right now, we ain't outscoring anybody. At best, we're just we're just literally matching pace with most of them. But the point of the matter is that by matching pace, we're not keeping up. We're not keeping the pace. The point of the matter is that the way the Lions have been able to win games in the past is by outscoring their opponents early, and then the defense just can absolutely suffocate the ever-living hell out of them. We're not doing that right now. Our offense is literally sputtering when we need it to make plays. And when you cannot score early and often to establish a buffer, so then that way you've now got the ability to pin back your ears on defense and go after opposing offenses by going after their quarterbacks, now you get into a dogfight. And right now, our offense is not capable of winning a dogfight. It just doesn't have the ability to right now. It has the firepower. We've got all the pieces in the world to do it with. But what we don't have is we don't have the play calling. We don't have the coaching. Let's just call it for what it is. John Morton is failing so bad as a coach right now because you have to think about the offensive attack the last couple of weeks. You really seriously have to. John Morton has relied so heavily on players just being able to have these superhuman performances to kind of bail him out. And primarily it comes down to 3 guys that he's relied on so heavily to try and make sure this offense at least can bail his ass out week after week. And that's Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Coincidentally, your starting quarterback, your starting running back, and your starting wide receiver. That's who he's relied on every single week to bail his ass out. And the problem is that for a defense, you can stop that relatively easy. You freaking, you pair off against the starting wide receiver and you're like, okay, we're going to take away Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now they got to use everybody else. That's why yesterday Sam Laporta was the second highest producing receiver outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown for the majority of the game. The only reason that JMO had more stats on there is because last minute he had that 30-plus touchdown, which actually brought us to within a whisker of potentially having a chance to win the game. But Sam Laporta, for the majority of the game, was our number one option. But it's like, you know what? When defenses start taking away Amon-Ra St. Brown, that now means we have to focus on other stuff. You take away Jahmyr Gibbs, and then now you got to focus with David Montgomery. And nothing against David Montgomery, but right now, neither of them can do anything. Gibbs can't do anything, neither can Montgomery, because you want to know why? We're not getting the blocking up front to be able to actually spring those running backs loose the way we're used to having it. So now, you've got an offensive coordinator that is relying solely on his 3 superstar players to try and make plays just enough to where we can win games. That's not going to work. You want to know why it's not going to work? Is because every time in the past, even though those were our primary options to get plays, we used everybody. We used Amon-Ra St. Brown. We used Jahmyr Gibbs. We used Sam Laporta. We used Khalif Raymond. We used David Montgomery. We used everybody. But that's not what John Morton is doing. He is focusing solely on using those players, and then when those players get taken away, then he's trying to force the ball to go to other people that have not had it in their hands a whole hell of a lot. The problem with that is that you shouldn't be doing that. It should be an open kind of referendum, if you will, to be like, hey, it doesn't matter who the guy is. It doesn't matter who's the one that we're trying to get the ball to. It should be able to go to anybody on any given play. But we're not doing that. It's like the plays are being designed to force the ball to go to our stars, rather than it being like, hey, let it flow like water. Let it flow naturally. If it's Amon-Ra St. Brown's time to get the ball, fine. But if you know you can give it to Brock Wright, if you can give it to Khalif Raymond, if you can give it to Isaac Tesla, then do that. Stop trying to force the ball to just the superstars. Allow everybody to benefit. Allow everybody to partake. We're not doing that. Now, that's one side of this problem. But the other side of the problem is that with the offensive line not being able to do what it needs to do, that also means that we are having a problem there as well. And I know some people are not going to like this because Hank Fraley is a great coach, and I absolutely agree. He's a great coach. He really is. I love the ever-living hell out of him because he has been here for a long time, and he's done an absolutely great job with the offensive line units every single year. But this year is different. We've seen it be different. And when you get into a situation like this where you've got a 3-way tie across the entire top of the division and your offense is struggling to score points, convert third downs, and move the ball, you have to take into account and have responsibility placed on people who are not pulling their weight. And when it comes down to it, what's not being done correctly is the overall play selection and the offensive line blocking. That's really where the problem is. You can talk about everything else in perpetuity, but the problem is where everything is starting and failing is the offensive play calling is not making sense, and then on top of that, your offensive line is not blocking the way it needs to, which then means you have to look at the guys who are in charge of those, which is John Morton and Hank Fraley. And again, I love Hank Fraley. But it's like, listen, you've got to figure out a way to get this offensive line to produce better. You've got to find a way to get it better at providing, blitz protection. You've got to find a way to get it better in opening up those rushing lanes that we've seen it do in the past. You have to. I understand that the offensive line is probably the least experienced that it's been ever since Hank Fraley has been under Coach Campbell. But you have to find a way to make it work. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, Hank Fraley's not going to give himself a pass. Coach Campbell's not going to give himself a pass, or anybody else a pass for that matter. It's like, listen, we have a job to do. And your job is to produce. Your job is to win. And when you're not winning and you're not producing, that means you're failing. Right, wrong, indifferent, if you don't like the phrase or terminology, it doesn't matter. That's the business of the NFL, is winning. And if you cannot win and you start seeing all these problems that are popping and rearing their ugly heads up at certain areas consistently, you have to point out why that's a problem. Yes, the offensive line is not as good as where you would like it to be because we don't have the experience that we're used to having. We don't have the talent up front that we're used to having. It doesn't matter. You have to find a way to make it work. And the worst part about it is that both the offense as a total whole, but then the offensive line on top of that, they're both having problems with being undisciplined. When you have, what was it yesterday, 12, 13 penalties or some nonsense like that? That's undisciplined. And that also falls on the coaching. It falls on the coaches for not making sure the players know exactly what they need to do during every given play. It also falls on the coaching for not teaching proper technique, or in this case, not teaching, it's not the right phrase, reinforcing it. You've got to consistently reinforce the basics so that way they're not failing the basics. Oh, illegal formation. Oh, false start. Oh, holding this, that, and the other thing. It's like, dude, these are very correctable problems that all go back to coaching. It all goes back to coaching. And when the offense is undisciplined, it's basic as hell, it's not making progress. It's continuing to be stuck in the damn mud. So when you've got an offensive coordinator that relies on three players to primarily be the basis of his offense, you've got a offensive line coach that is not getting this offensive line up to speed faster than what it should be at this point, then that comes back to the head coach. And I love Dan Campbell, but there's one thing Dan Campbell needs to do right now. He needs to light a big damn fire underneath his offensive coaches' asses, and he needs to demand that they need to get their freaking act together. John Morton, you need to open up the offense. You need to allow it to be open to everybody, not just Amon-Ra St. Brown, not just Jahmyr Gibbs. It has to be open and available for everybody. You need to find a way to balance it so that way everybody can partake. Hank Fraley, you've got to find a way to get these guys up to speed faster, better, so that way we can get a better production overall because our offensive line is not protecting well enough. And when you think about that, that's why our offense is not able to keep defenses off balance and guessing. Because we're doing the same damn things over and over again. And what we're doing is we're not giving our defense anything to work with on the other end. What does Dan Campbell say constantly? We have to play complementary football. We're not playing complementary football. The offense keeps putting the defense in bad positions. And the fact that the defense has been able to keep the games close despite that constant situation is a huge, huge credit to freaking Kelvin Shepherd and the defense. So to me, it's like everything starts with the coaches at this point. You can't say it's the players. We have the players in order to win. So the coaches are the ones that are responsible to make sure that you take the talent, the overabundance of talent that we have, to make sure that we can win. This offense is too damn powerful and has too many damn weapons to act and be like this. It's freaking unacceptable. Unacceptable, however you want to call it. The Lions defense has been literally saving the Lions' ass for multiple weeks. They saved our ass in the Buccaneers game, and the fact that they kept the game as close as they did for the Lions to even have a chance to try and come back in the Vikings game, that's the defense saving their ass. It's embarrassing. The Lions offense should be scoring 30-plus points every damn time we step out on the damn field. And we are struggling for every damn yard. That's why when you take a look at this, and you take a look at where the division race is right now, you take a look at the remainder of our schedule, it's not a pretty picture to look in that mirror and say, man, ooh, we're in a bit of a tough spot here. It's kind of like you watch the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And George Clooney constantly says, damn, we're in a tight spot. That's exactly where the Lions are right now. Damn, we're in a tight spot. We have an offense that can't seem to figure itself out, a defense that's constantly being put in bad positions to try and compensate, and we're struggling to win games. Games that we should absolutely be just, lighting up the damn scoreboard. It's not acceptable. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. And when you take a look at now the fact that we've got a three-way tie in essence, or a three-way front-runner race in the NFC North Division, and you still got all these other teams in the NFC you've got to freaking contend with, such as the Rams, such as the Eagles, such as all these other teams, it's not a good place to be at. It's not a good feeling to have. So, I'm going to tell you this right now. Whatever Campbell has to do to get people to start feeling like, hey, your ass is on the hot seat, your job is in jeopardy, you need to do it. Because the time of being, compassionate, the time of being understanding, the time of being patient, and the time of, well, we're going to get there, we just have a sense of urgency. Screw sense of urgency. It's urgent. We're almost on the verge of pushing the damn panic button. You cannot be going into November and December with this offense and think you're going to win. This offense has got to get itself into overdrive like yesterday. That's my point. So, having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. If you like the content, I hope to gain your subscription if I had not yet done so already. But if you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you not yet had a chance to do so, I hope that you will also do this. Make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also, hope you all have something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.